What's up, my crew? Today we are going to be learning about hammers and the fasteners that we're going to use. So I'm about to show you guys some of the hammers that you'll find around the shop. So in a different video, we'll talk about the different fasteners that we're going to use, but as you can see, there's an assortment of different nails that we could use for projects. The different types of hammers that we have a trim hammer, a framing hammer, and a wooden mallet. Right, the wooden mallet's not going to be used for doing any driving, just for carving and aligning blocks.
Now, for a framing hammer, for example, right, you have the handle, you have a claw, like we were talking about the wedge and fulcrum. So the claw will help you pull nails out, right? I'll show you that in a minute. And you use the flathead part, or this is a waffle head part, use that for driving the nails. So the first thing I'm going to do is put on my safety glasses. All right, and I want to avoid going in through any knots. All right, so the first thing I want to do is line up the nail with my one hand that's not swinging the hammer and hold the hammer depending on what's more comfortable for you. I suggest, you know, like in baseball when you choke up on a bat, do the same thing with the handle for a hammer.
You know, like in baseball when you choke up on a bat, do the same thing with the handle for a hammer.
Okay, so for control, that's what we're most important trying to achieve right now is control, right? We don't want the nail going flying, and we don't want to split the board, and we don't want to have the nail toenail, which means nailing in on an angle. We don't want to have them toenail on the outside of the wood, right? So what I'm gonna do is give a couple taps to line this up. All right, if you have the ability to use a clamp, use a clamp. And then just carefully, just swing the hammer. Until the nail breaches the surface, all right? Any questions, ask me. All right, so now here's what we're gonna do about something that we would do in class, like let's say you're putting together a shelf or a birdhouse, right? So we have two boards that are about 3/4 of an inch thick each. And you're gonna go in about an inch from the end of the board, meaning from the end here, sorry, not the edge, this is the edge. From the end of the board, you're gonna go in 1 inch, all right? And that will hopefully be helpful in avoiding a split, okay? So now we're gonna take our nail, flip it upside down, and we're just gonna give a little tap, all right? And hopefully that will help prevent the board from splitting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna align this up. And since this might be difficult to hold, what I'm gonna do is use a clamp. So now is a good time for the mallet to align this where we need it to be so it's flush, nice and even on the ends. My finish hammer, okay? And again, I said I'm gonna start. So now we wanna make sure that the nail is going through the top board and down in through the middle of the second board that you're fastening through. Make sure you're careful so the nail is straight and you're not toenailing on angles and blowing out through the surface of the bottom board. To make sure I'm straight. Does it look pretty good? Nope. Could go, there we go. Okay, hold the board, even though you might have it already clamped, hold it, and then just give some steady taps, all right? And eventually, you could use more power, but for now you're gonna go with accuracy. So here, the nail head, we wanna try to get it below the surface where we could use wood putty, so we're gonna use a nail set, right? And hold this over the nail. Okay, and then when I do that, I could grab my hammer and just tap that as many times as you need to in order to get it to be underneath the surface enough. So not flush, but countersunk below the surface, right? So that way we could fill putty over that hole. So again, I'm gonna do one more, and I want to make sure that we are pretty much center on the board. I'm gonna show you a cool trick with the chalk line in a little bit, because what you could do is you could measure, let's say this is 3/4, right? Halfway would be 3/8. So I could measure 3/8 on one end, 3/8 in from the edge on the other end, and then snap a chalk line or use a ruler if it's small enough to connect, and then that line is gonna be where your nails are going in. So again, I'm gonna line this up. Now that it's in and I can't wiggle this nail out, now I could drive this in. And even though I'm clamped, I'm still holding this down, right? I'm gonna use my nail set to make sure that I drive the nail head countersunk below the surface, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you what happens if the nail is crooked, right? So let's say you're going wild and, oh, I messed it up. All right, now we're gonna see how to use the claw. Oh, the nail didn't go in all the way and I bent it over. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use a scrap board as a fulcrum, and then we're gonna use the claw of the hammer as a lever, and then I am going to pry this up to take it out, all right? And that's how I want you to do it. I don't want you to struggle with, oh, it went crooked. And then trying to do this, even though this is a good wedge and fulcrum, you could decrease the effort by using a shim or a spare block to help pry this. And I hope that helps. I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial on how to use hammers and the different types that we have in class. Again, we are going to be using what type? 3 hammers. Go. Now that you got that down, so we are using finishing hammers, framing hammers, and wooden mallets, right? Don't use the wooden mallet for anything but carving or aligning material. When we cover chisels, I'll show you how to use the wooden mallet for carving. All right, I hope you guys have a great day. Take it easy, and I hope you're enjoying the video. If you want, like and subscribe.